if you go to Karachi, there is one of the shrines which is called as Shadole Ke Chue. They use kids that have microcephaly and they put them on the shrine. Now, in cities that know better, there are centers, people are taking advantage of those, and those centers are run by people who do not know anything about applied behavior analysis. They don't know anything about speech. They don't know anything about occupational therapy. They don't know anything about evidence-based practices.
Hello everyone, Assalamualaikum. I'm here today for our first episode in the series called Breaking Barriers, Autism and ABA Realities. I would like to extend my thanks to Karobar TV who have collaborated with us to help create awareness about autism and applied behavior analysis in Pakistan. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sabeen Bilal. I'm the founder and director of Kreative Haus. I'm also a board certified behavior analyst and an international behavior analyst. I'm also a doctoral student at Johns Hopkins University. I'm very happy today to have Jawahar Alvi with me here today. I'm sure most of you know her and she needs no introduction, but I'd like to nonetheless hand it over to her so she can introduce herself and we can get started.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hello, how is everybody doing? Thank you so much, Sabeen and Karobar TV, for giving us this opportunity. And this is something that we have been working on for a very, very long time. And I am so happy that we can bring this out here. And I'll introduce myself. My name is Jawahar Alvi. I'm a Board Certified Behavior Analyst. I'm at a doctoral level in clinic. I'm finishing my doctorate in clinical psychology from California Southern University. I have been in the field for almost 24 years. I am the CEO of BASIS, Behavior and Special Educational Services in Pakistan. I am the CEO and founder of Ours, Once Upon Rehabilitations in the Chicagoland area. And I am also I am the founder of Rife USA in Dubai, but I don't own it anymore. And other than that, I have been training a lot of people in the field. I've trained 4,000 people till date. And I also am one of the advisory board members of International Behavior Analyst Organization. I'm also an international behavior analyst, a licensed behavior analyst, and an early interventionist in the state of Illinois. Thank you so much.
Before we get started, Jawahar, could you just share with us why we are here today? I know from my perspective, I just like to share that we're facing a lot of problems in the work that we're doing. Because I feel that there's no board in Pakistan regulating what we do, due to which there are a lot of centers cropping up that are not being run by properly licensed people. So could you just elaborate on this?
Right. So first of all, Sabeen and Karobar TV, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because if this goes through, you're going to do something that is going to create like a long-term, shield for our kids in Pakistan, our consumers, our clients, because as per the research of CDC, which just came out like last year, 1 in every 36 child is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And the issue that we had is that in 2019, the Board of Behavior Analysis announced that they're pulling out of every country, and they said that we're not going to be certifying any behavior analyst or any registered behavior technician other than America, Canada, UK, and Australia, which means that all the...
Sorry to interrupt. Could you just explain a bit what this board is, so the audience knows, जिनको नहीं पता, so we can explain it to them.
Okay, yeah. So, हुआ ये कि जो let me go into the history a little bit. जो history है उसके मुताबिक ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, is a field of psychology. It's a branch of psychology. And that branch is evidence-based. And according to research studies, this is the branch that shows most, effective treatment for kids with autism spectrum disorder. So the US Surgeon General, had made a statement almost, I think, 10 years ago that any child who's been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, when they are getting almost 40 hours of ABA therapy per week, they make significant difference in their lives. They become socially appropriate and they can be included in the society. इसके बाद ये हुआ कि जो गवर्नमेंट थी उन्होंने एबीए को इंक्लूड करना शुरू किया बच्चों की थेरेपी में. और यहाँ पे अमेरिका में all the insurance companies, they are mandated by law to have ABA therapy as a part of a treatment plan for kids with autism. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि applied behavior analysis जो है, it is only used for kids with autism. It is something that can be used for any kind of disability, जिसमें Down syndrome हो गया, cerebral palsy हो गई, multiple sclerosis हो गया, जिसमें के behavioral issues हो गए, जिसमें के mental illness आ जाती है, schizophrenia आ गया, schizoaffective disorder आ गया, ADHD आ गया, comorbidities आ गई. So all kind of disabilities ABA can be used with. But according to the evidence that we had from LOVA study, autism was something that when you work with ABA, they were making a lot of difference. So according to that, when people started working with ABA in America, kids were making difference. And what was seen was that if you do a lot of ABA in early intervention, then, you don't need to do that much work when kids are older, ठीक है? और हमें ये भी पता है कि जैसे we're growing older, as the healthcare is improving, the longevity of human beings is, increasing. So now the amount of resources you need to, cater to those clients that are living longer lives with autism, with their behaviors is a lot. So instead of spending all that money on those, clients, it was better to use that money in early intervention so that we can have kids who are, socially appropriate, mainstreamed, and they can live independent lives. तो इस वजह से ABA के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा जोर दिया जा रहा था. Slowly with the passage of time, ABA started to come towards, third world countries and Middle East countries. And I remember in 2014, when I went to Dubai, I was the first one to start the first lecture-based series in May of 2015 for RBTs. ऐसा ऐसा हुआ that we were all being licensed by the Board of Behavior Analysis in America, right? So this was the norm, like this was the standard. But then what happened was that there were so many ethical issues throughout the world. Like I was one of them. I got trained in America, but I went to Dubai, and the first thing was they said you have to follow your ethics of BACB. When I went to Dubai, my first client was from a royal family, and they're like, you have to eat with us. This is Habibti, this is your present, and I'm like, I cannot expect a present from you. I cannot eat at your house, because that's against our ethics. And there was a crossroad, and I'm like, how am I going to work? So I started writing to the, Bailey and Birch hotline. There's a hotline that it's called an ethics hotline. And they were like, no, just do this, do this. And then slowly I started learning and evolving with those cultural experiences. Then when I went to Pakistan, I saw other things, like there was physical abuse and sexual abuse and things like that. And I'm like, how do I deal with these things? And I kept on writing. And I'm sure if I was doing that, there were people from other countries that were writing to them too. And that's, I think, where the board decided, hey, you know what? There is no way in the world that we can have accountability for all these countries and all these cultures. So therefore, we are going to have to draw a line, right? Because they're accountable. So what they said is that now we're going to pull out in 2019, or we're going to give you guys 2 years to get it together. For every country, get it together. So every country has to have their own board, and every country has to have their own regulations, right? So this was it. Now I have been trying, because I'm one of the dinosaurs in the field. So I've been trying for a long time that everybody should be coming together and we should be forming this board. This was pre-pandemic. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. We kept on trying. I had some personal, things going on, and, it didn't happen. But then Dr. Michael Mueller, bless them, they came and they made this. There were two boards that came. One was the QBA, which is the one of them, and then one is IBAO, which is the International Behavior Analysis Organization, and the QBA is the Quality Behavior Analyst Board, right? Is it quality?
I'm
It's
not sure.
QBA.
Yeah,
It's
it's
one of those,
QABA. Yeah.
right? So a lot of people, they went towards that, and some went towards IBA. So the first time it came out, I went because I was traveling between America, Dubai, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain. I just went ahead and I applied for the IBA because I thought, we have to. So I did that. But then, once the board pulled out, that's where the IBAO gained more momentum and the QBA gained more momentum, because now, we as a behavior analyst, we're a culture. So we have to belong somewhere, right? We
Exactly.
just cannot be abandoned. So in the meanwhile, we tried with Dr. Neil Martin and from the board people, just, hey, can we start school programs or university? It just unfortunately didn't work. So then now we are trying, so with Dr. Michael Mueller from IBAO, he was asking us, well, every country should have their own board. Even the Board of Behavior Analysis said, we are ready to help you. Everybody should have. So every country, they came up with their own board. Why is the board so important? The board is important because we have so many kids with autism spectrum disorder and other disabilities in Pakistan right now. If we don't have a board, we are going to be at a crossroad of a very big crisis, because the pandemic of using the kids which have disability as crutches for beggars, for prostitution, for anything like this is going to increase, and it's going to keep on. So we are going to be in a very, very big problem. This is one aspect of it, because right now it's already happening. If you go to Karachi, there is one of the shrines which is called as Shadole Ke Chue. They use kids that have microcephaly and they put them on the shrine. If they don't have a smaller head, they'll put, like
Yeah.
a helmet on them.
No.
So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that, there are people in suburban areas and rural areas who are using exorcism in the wrong manner, because they think that those kids are possessed. Thirdly, now in cities that know better, there are centers, people are taking advantage of those, and those centers are run by people who do not know anything about applied behavior analysis. They don't know anything about speech. They don't know anything about occupational therapy. They don't know anything about evidence-based practices. So we really need to come up with a regulatory body so that these things, they can be regulated. Those centers can come under that board, which should be governed by the government. And then there should be some rules and policies in place that are going to help directly those centers. They can safeguard the professionals' rights who are actual professionals, and they can then indirectly and directly safeguard our consumers.
Also, I want to share here, I think we should tell our audience that the existing RBTs that are certified by the BACB, they need to work under supervision. They cannot work without
Yes,
being supervised by either a BCBA or a BCBAD. Also,
right.
the BCBAs, only BCBAs can practice without supervision. It's the same
Yes,
for for IBTs. They also need to
right.
practice under direct supervision of either an IBA or a BCBA or a BCBAD. This is very important for all our listeners to know. Whenever you go to a center, we want to encourage you all to please ask about the qualifications of the person running the center. Ask about the staff that they've employed. Ask about the trainings, because we can only make a difference if we all do this together. We need the parents on board, we need schools on board, we need the government on board. So this is very, very important.
Right. And Sabine, you have been you've been doing a marvelous job from such a long time. You've been trying you've been coming, asking for help. And there are multiple people who come and talk to me and ask for help, to do. And when I train people, this is the only thing I tell them: be ethical, follow the ethical guidelines, do not do anything that is going to jeopardize you and then jeopardize, because you represent my training and you
Exactly.
want to make sure that what you're doing is ethical, right? So, you know, I have told everybody multiple times, everybody that I train, that because parents get training too. The reason that we do trainings for parents is because when you do ABA at the center for kids, it's very important that those kids are able to generalize those skills in a naturalistic environment. So if the parents are trained, they can help their kids, right? But then if there are other therapists who are taking training, they get certified, they can never work without the supervision of a BCBA
Also,
or a BCABA.
sorry, also we have seen this trend over here that since there is no ABA qualification here in Pakistan, there are a lot of students who've done their bachelor's in psychology or master's in psychology and are claiming to be behavior therapists. So, for the audience, could you just clarify the difference between a psychologist and a behavior therapist so that सबको पता हो कि फ़र्क क्या है and why is it so important कि behavior therapy अगर गलत की जाए तो उसके क्या detrimental effects हो सकते हैं इन बच्चों पे.
बिल्कुल, आई थिंक ये बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट है, और इस पॉइंट में क्योंकि ये बहुत बड़ा, ये दिस इज अ वेरी फाइन लाइन, और हमारे यहाँ जो भी साइकोलॉजी हो जाती है तो फिर वो ये कहते हैं कि आप जो है ना वो अब हम बिहेवियर थेरेपिस्ट बन गए। तो जो बिहेवियर थेरेपी है उसकी तो वो पढ़ाते हैं, लाइक व्हेन यू आर डूइंग योर साइकोलॉजी वो आपको पढ़ाएंगे कि दिस इज बिहेवियर थेरेपी, वो आपको एक कोर्स के तौर पे पढ़ा देंगे। लेकिन व्हाट इज ट्रू अप्लाइड बिहेवियर एनालिसिस इज नॉट टॉट टू यू until and unless you do your proper training, right? उसमें भी फिर आपको जब आप ट्रेनिंग करते हो आपको अगर आप IBT बन रहे हो या ABAT कर रहे हो जो कि QBS के थ्रू है, QBA के थ्रू है, उसमें आपको मेंटरशिप भी लेनी है, सुपरविजन भी लेनी है। इवन जो IBAs भी नए बनते हैं, जो BCABAs भी बनते हैं, दे नीड मेंटरशिप ऑल्सो, राइट? Psychology जो है ना is a branch in which we deal with intrinsic emotions. Intrinsic आपके जो behaviors होते हैं उन पे काम करते हैं. That's why I completed my I'm just going to finish up inshallah, Allah करे
इंशाल्लाह.
with whatever is happening, maybe 2 years more for my, because I'm on my dissertation now. So उसमें ये होता है कि I wanted to have everything so that I can get the child as a whole. I can work with them, my consumers as a whole. So we work on intrinsic, feelings, but it's very different from ABA. Because when we are doing ABA, it's about the outer behaviors, the extrinsic behaviors, right? तो जो हम बाहर कर रहे हैं, जो हमारे behaviors हैं, जिसका उसका एंटीसीडेंट क्या था, बिहेवियर क्या था, उसको हमने किस तरह रीइंफोर्स किया, किस तरह पनिश किया, फिर हम उस बिहेवियर को किस तरह मॉडिफाई कर सकते हैं, हाउ कैन वी मॉडिफाई इट बाय यूजिंग द टेक्निक्स ऑफ ABA, which is more prominent to the eye, it's more objective, that is ABA. Psychology sometimes gets a little bit more subjective, because it's more of, we're talking about the inner state of the person. So therefore there's a lot of difference between psychology and ABA. However, there are a lot of kids that benefit from psychological evaluation, psychological treatment. Like even with us, at the end of the day, we need psychological treatment sometimes because there is so much burnout. There's so much compassionate fatigue that we have. And I don't know if you know what compassionate fatigue is, but उसमें ये होता है कि अगर suppose we are working with mothers and parents and families and children who've gone through so much in their life, and when they come and they burden us with that, क्योंकि हम काउंसलर्स भी हैं ना, तो हम उनको काउंसल करते हैं कि अच्छा आप ना रोएं, आप परेशान ना हो, हम आपके साथ हैं, हम आपकी हेल्प करेंगे, आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे। तो उसमें करते करते वी गिव अ पीस ऑफ आवरसेल्व्स टू देम, ठीक है? फिर जब हम घर जाते हैं और कोई ऐसा स्टिमुलाई होता है जो कि कॉमन होता है एनवायरनमेंट में, तो वो हमें उधर ट्रिगर करके वापस ले जाता है। तो दैट्स कंपैशनेट फटीग. So we are going through that compassionate fatigue. So at the end of the day, we need counselors too. So I believe in therapy. I believe in clinical counseling. But again, for behavior therapy, for ABA therapy, we cannot just say that I'm a psychologist and I can do ABA. You have to be an ABA professional to do that.
ऑल्सो
ठीक है?
आई थिंक आवर व्यूअर्स शुड नो कि एक दफ़ा आप BCBA या IBA बन जाएं, इट्स नॉट कि आप बस बन गए हैं और आपकी पढ़ाई और इट स्टॉप्स we have to continue studying, we have to stay up to date with the latest in the therapies, the latest in the field. तो हम लोग constantly पढ़ भी रहे हैं साथ साथ to
आप पढ़ रहे हो, अब आप देखो आप और आप खत्म नहीं होता
नहीं
ना, यानी कि आपका दिल करता है आप पढ़ते जाओ बस,
बिल्कुल, just to
ठीक है?
help the kids, actually the clients we work
And
with.
it's just a field that you want to do it, because research data, you want to do research. Like for example, yesterday I was reading about like a conference is coming up in Illinois, and I'm like, man, I just got so excited just by looking at the posters and the research, because that helps your kids.
I think
So
thoda, if you could tell as well, what we hear a lot of this that ABA is evidence based, but I think अक्सर लोगों को पता नहीं है कि evidence based का मतलब क्या है, what does it mean? So could you just maybe briefly explain what evidence based means, so ताकि सबको पता हो?
ठीक है। अच्छा, अब इसमें ये होता है कि देखिए हम लोग अगर मैं आपको अपना एक एग्जांपल देती हूँ। अगर सपोज़ मेरे पास एक थेरेपिस्ट आती है और वो आके कहती है कि ये बच्चा जो है ना, ये इसके बहुत ज़्यादा सेंसरी बिहेवियर्स आ रहे हैं, और ये हर चीज़ जो है ना, लाइक सेंसरी बिहेवियर्स, हर ये बहुत ज़्यादा स्टिमिंग कर रहा है, ठीक है ना? और इतनी ज़्यादा स्टिमिंग कर रहा है कि ना ये अपना काम कर पा रहा है, ना ये राइटिंग कर पा रहा है, ना कुछ कर पा रहा है। तो उस सिचुएशन में मैं क्या करती हूँ कि सबसे पहले बजाय इसके, क्योंकि अभी रिसेंटली फेसबुक पे मैं देख रही थी कि कोई पोस्ट आई हुई थी किसी बच्चे के बारे में, और हर बंदा अपने 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 मशवरे लिख रहा है। सो वो जो अपने अपने मशवरे लिखने होते हैं ना, वो मशवरे जो है ना, दे आर लाइक हाइपोथेटिकल, दे आर समथिंग दैट यू डोंट हैव एनी रिसर्च बिहाइंड। जो एक्चुअल एविडेंस बेस्ड होता है उसमें ये होता है कि आप उसका सबसे पहले जो है, यू फाइंड आउट द रूट कॉज ऑफ इट। ठीक है, पहले आप ये देखते हैं कि उसका फंक्शन क्या है। फंक्शन उसका देखने के बाद फिर आप उसको थोड़ा-सा एनालाइज़ करते हो, उसको सारा उसके बारे में पता करते हो, कितनी दफ़ा बिहेवियर हुआ, उससे पहले क्या था, बिहेवियर क्या था, उसके बाद क्या था। फिर आप जाते हो और जाके रिसर्च देखते हो, ठीक है? सो रिसर्च इन द फील्ड शोज़ दैट देयर वाज़ टन्स ऑफ रिसर्च दैट हैज़ बीन डन बाय आवर पीयर्स, and then we go and look at it and see, okay, in this situation, if there was this kid, they had this behavior, what does the research show us? How did the child make improvement? Can we replicate this study? So there is evidence behind it. ठीक है, अगर हम उस स्टडी को replicate करेंगे तो हमें पता है कि we are going to see improvement in the child, because there has been research on it, there's data on it to support it, and it has the we've seen that there's improvement in the child. That's evidence. और ये evidence हमें कहाँ से मिलता है? There are lots of research studies out there, जिस तरह के जर्नल ऑफ अप्लाइड बिहेवियर एनालिसिस है, बिहेवियर इंटरवेंशंस है, वर्बल बिहेवियर्स है, जर्नल ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल एनालिसिस ऑफ बिहेवियर है। सो बेसिकली ये आ जाता है ट्रांजिशनल, जो हमारी है ना एबीए, उसमें आ जाता है कि ट्रांजिशनल जो हमारी जो रिसर्च हमारी लैब्स में हो रही है, उसको हम जब ट्रांसलेट करते हैं टू आवर रियल लाइफ, तो वो एविडेंस बेस्ड आ जाता है फिर। सो इट कम्स एविडेंस।
And
सो दैट्स एविडेंस।
as parents, as therapists, everyone can access these journals. कुछ फ्री होते हैं, कुछ पेड होते हैं, बट लोग अपनी रिसर्च भी कर सकते हैं, पढ़ सकते हैं इसके बारे में, ताकि आप लोगों को भी अवेयरनेस हो कि एविडेंस बेस्ड क्या होता है, प्रूफ है हमारे पास.
और अगर आपके पास नहीं है, देखिए गूगल स्कॉलर जो है ना, वो एक ऐसी वेबसाइट है जहाँ से आपको बहुत से फ्री आर्टिकल्स मिल जाते हैं एबीए के ऊपर। मैं तो जब तक मेरे पास एक्सेस नहीं था, मैं गूगल स्कॉलर से बहुत कुछ निकाल लेती थी। लेकिन अब आई हैव माई पोर्टल, उस पे मैं चली जाती हूँ। लेकिन मुझसे अगर कोई भी कुछ पूछता है कभी किसी भी बच्चे के बारे में, तो व्हाट आई डू इज दैट आई गो एंड आई गेट देम रिसर्च एंड आई ऑलवेज गिव इट टू देम एंड आई टेल देम रीड इट and then let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's do it in the clinical setting and let's see that what change we can get in the child. ठीक है ना? और फिर हम उसको ग्राफ भी करते हैं, उसका डेटा भी होता है. Everything is there so that we can show it with evidence. कि भाई now this is showing evidence. Improvement or not improvement.
Also, I
So
think
that's it.
just before we wrap up, we should just once again emphasize why this is so important right now. Being here, and I'm sure you feel the same, that the rate of children, not just with autism, but with other disabilities, is definitely on the rise. So now is the time more than ever to come together and work towards creating a board, towards creating awareness, because ये तो आगे बढ़ता जाएगा.
Right. And also, I want to just bring out one more thing. I'm sorry. we have had, I just saw another incident recently where a child with a special needs was found by a
Ji,
community
I
worker,
saw that.
and nobody knew what to do with him. So I think this awareness is so important कि हमारे ना there should be set systems in the in the government where अगर इस तरह के बच्चे होते हैं जो कि गुम जाए या कुछ हो जाए, बजाय इसके कि वो गलत हाथों में चले जाए, there should be a proper systematic way of how to screen our kids and then to have a safe place for them. Um, I mean, no child should be ever lost,
Never.
you know?
Bilkul, of course.
That's very important, I think.
Bilkul. So I think this was great. I think we'll wrap it up here. Just to summarize again, for everyone, we're here to create awareness about autism and ABA and to talk about the formation of a board, which we are working towards. Because now more
Inshallah.
than ever, there's a need for all of us to come together to help the kids that we work with. And
Right.
also, thank you to the audience for listening to us. Thank you to
For listening.
Karobar TV for collaborating with us and
Thank
giving us
you so much.
this platform. And we'll see you in the next episode where we'll try to talk about fad treatments and other treatments that are not evidence based so that we can create awareness for our parents and our audience. So, thank you very much. Thank you,
Thank
Jawahar.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Take care.
Hafiz.
Allah.
Hafiz.
Allah.